I rejoice with you in the success, which has thus far attended the cause. Yet in all our rejoicings, let us neither express nor cherish any hard feelings toward any citizen who by his vote has differed with us. Let us at all times remember that all American citizens are brothers of a common country, and should dwell together in the bonds of fraternal feeling. October 19th. To Miss Grace Bedell, your very agreeable letter of the 15th is received. I regret the necessity of saying I have no daughter. I have 3 sons, one 17, one 9, and one 7. They with their mother constitute my whole family. As to the whiskers, having never worn any, do you not think people would call it a piece of silly affection if I were to begin now? How many legs does a dog have if you call the tail a leg? 4. Calling a tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. January 2nd, 1863, when an individual in a church or out of it becomes dangerous to the public interest, he must be checked, but let the churches, as such, take care of themselves. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reaches us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction is our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time or die by suicide. All over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union, when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature. He who does something at the head of 1 regiment will eclipse him who does nothing at the head of 100. Amid the greatest difficulties of my administration, when I could not see any other resort, I would place my whole reliance in God, knowing that all would go well and that He would decide for the right. As our case is new, we must think and act anew. It is a very poor thing, whether for nations or individuals, to advance the history of great deeds done in the past as an excuse for doing poorly in the present, but it is an excellent thing to study the history of the great deeds of the past, and of the great men who did them, with an earnest desire to profit thereby so as to render better service in the present. No man who is resolved to make the most of himself can spare time for personal contention. I consider the central idea pervading this struggle is the necessity that is upon us, of proving that popular government is not an absurdity. We must settle this question now, whether in a free government the minority has the right to break up the government whenever they choose. If we fail it will go far to prove the incapability of the people to govern themselves. 7 years ago. Human nature will not change. In any future great national trial, compared with the men of this, we shall have as weak and as strong, as silly and as wise, as bad and as good. Let us, therefore, study the incidents of this, as philosophy to learn wisdom from. It is the eternal struggle between these two principles, right and wrong, throughout the world. They are the two principles that have stood face to face from the beginning of time, and will ever to struggle. Allow me to assure you it is a perfect certainty that you will, very soon, feel better, quite happy, if you only stick to the resolution you have taken to procure military education. I am older than you, have felt badly myself, and know, what I tell you is true. Adhere to your purpose and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. On the contrary, if you falter, and give up, you will lose the power of keeping any resolution, and will regret it all your life. So true it is that man proposes and God disposes of. Must is the word. You cannot fail if you resolutely determine that you will not. Always bear in mind that your resolution to succeed is more important than any other thing. Both, North and South, read the same Bible, and pray to the same God, and each invokes his aid against the other. It may seem strange that any man should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces, but let us judge not that we are not judged. The prayers of both could not be answered, that of neither has been answered fully. The Almighty has His own purposes. By such examples, by instances of the perpetrators of such acts going unpunished, the lawless in spirit, are encouraged to become lawless in practice, and having been used to no restraint, but dread of punishment, they thus become absolutely unrestrained. Having ever regarded government as their deadliest bane, they make a jubilee of the suspension of its operations, and pray for nothing so much as its total annihilation. While, on the other hand, good men who love tranquility, who desire to abide by the laws, and enjoy their benefits, who would gladly spill their blood in the defense of their country, seeing their property destroyed, their families insulted, and their lives endangered, their persons injured, and seeing nothing in the prospect that forebodes a change for the better, become tired of, and disgusted with, a government that offers them no protection, and are not much averse to a change in which they imagine they have nothing to lose. Thus, then, by the operation of this mobocratic spirit, which all must admit, is now abroad in the land, the strongest bulwark of any government, and particularly of those constituted like ours, may effectually be broken down and destroyed, I mean the attachment of the people,